welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking all about how to get a sound on your flute. All you're going to need today is your head joint and some type of straw. I've got a metal straw that I'll be using today, but you can also use a plastic or a paper straw. So by far, one of the hardest things of starting out the flute is just being able to get a sound and get it to happen consistently. So I like to start out with a straw. And the reason I'll use a straw is because it's got such a small opening, which is going to kind of mimic what you want your aperture hole to be like on your lips when you're playing the flute. So I'm going to take my straw and I'm just going to gently blow some air through it. And I'm going to have my hand on the other end about 2 or 3 inches away from the straw. And I just want to make sure that I can feel the air tapping my hand gently as I blow through the straw. As you're doing this, I want you to think about what's happening with your lips. Think about which lip muscles are actually engaged and working as you're blowing this air through this tiny opening. So you probably noticed that these muscles that are above your top lip are definitely engaged and they're working so that you can have that small hole necessary to blow that air through this small opening in your straw. The concept is very similar when you pick up a flute and play. You need to have a small aperture hole in order to be able to aim your air exactly where you need it to go through your flute. So after you've used the straw for a while and you're comfortable with your airspeed and you know exactly what's happening with your lips and you kind of have an idea of how everything feels, then you can move over to your head joint. Now it would be great if it was just as easy as putting it up near your lip and being able to blow through the instrument and it making a great sound. But there's a few small things you need to do in order for that sound to really happen. The first thing is just knowing exactly where to put it on your face. So on your head joint, you've got the crown, which is your top part of your flute, and you want that to be on the left side of your face as your instrument's facing you. On the right side is where you've got your opening hole where the rest of the flute would be attached. You've got your lip plate here, which is this raised portion of metal, and that's where your lip's going to be resting in a minute. And then you've got a hole in the middle, and this is your tone hole, where the air will actually be meeting the flute. So if you'll take the inside edge of your tone hole, which is the side closest to you, and you're going to put that up against the bottom lining of your bottom lip. It will look something like this. It's really helpful to use a mirror as you're doing this so you can really visualize what's happening. Now this may vary just a little bit depending on your personal anatomy. If your bottom lip is a little bit thinner, then you're going to need the head joint to be a tiny bit lower, maybe underneath where that line is at the bottom of your lip. And the opposite's true. If you have a little bit fuller of a bottom lip, you're going to probably want your lip plate to be a little bit higher, maybe right above where that line is at the bottom of your lip. So it might take a little bit of experimenting to find out where that sweet spot is for your personal anatomy. After you've figured out where the lip plate goes on your face, you want to make sure that nothing is moving and that you're nice and firmly planted against your chin. So I like to use this little saddle area in my chin kind of as an anchor point to really make sure that my flute is not going to be moving around once I add on extra parts later on. You don't want your flute to be moving around as you're trying to play. It's kind of like trying to throw a dart at a moving target. You're never really going to get a centered, consistent tone if everything isn't nice and stable. The next thing you'll do after you've figured out where it goes on your face is actually start to blow into the instrument and get that sound started. So I like to take my straw again and I'll have my head joint up and ready to go. I'm going to blow my air through my straw gently, and then I'm going to try to keep those muscles engaged as I transfer over to the lip plate. So you can try that several times going back and forth and try to keep that lip engaged as you go in between. So if you weren't able to get a sound the first time or even the second or third time, the likely problem is just where your air is being aimed. As a beginning flutist, you're usually going to be blowing too much air out across the instrument and not enough air into the instrument. So I want you to take your hand again, and this time you want your hand to be at about a 45-degree angle from your body. So I like to have my elbow kind of anchored on my stomach, and then I have my hand extended at a 45-degree angle. You're going to aim your air towards your hand. You want to pretend as if you're going to be hitting your hand with your air. So take your head joint away and just try to aim your air towards your hand. If you don't feel the air, lift your hand up a little bit and see if you feel it then. If you do feel it up there, that means it's too high. So bring your hand back down to that 45-degree angle, and all you're going to do is bring your top lip a little bit over the bottom lip. Or you can do the opposite and bring your bottom lip backwards a little bit, whichever way works for you. I like to think of pulling my bottom lip back a little bit. It's a little easier for me to visualize in my head. And you'll notice that just moving that bottom lip around really makes a big difference of where your air is aimed. So experiment with that a little bit and just try moving your bottom lip back and forth and see what happens with your air direction. After you've done some experimenting with your bottom lip, find that spot where your air is hitting your hands at that 45-degree angle. So for me, it's about here. Now you're gonna bring your lip plate up, don't forget to anchor it, and you're gonna blow towards your hand. Now I can't promise you that this is gonna work the very first time you try. It takes a lot of practice to really be in control of those subtle movements in your lips. So if you find yourself not able to get a sound, don't worry. Sometimes it takes a week, a month, or even several months before you're really able to get a consistent sound that sounds clear and that you're happy with. I hope this video is helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below, and you can also let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos that you'd like to see. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.